What is up, my friends? Welcome to Showtop Games. I'm a turtle, and today we'll be doing a casual review of the 1 to 8 player game The Thing, designed by Giuseppe Cicero and Andrea Crespi, published by Pendragon Game Studio. Just a quick heads up, this is the Kickstarter edition, and also I'll probably be using the miniatures that came with the stretch goals just because they're easier to see on the camera. Alright, so what's in the box? Well, we've got this really frustrating rulebook, which we're going to talk about soon. Nice little poster. Extra modules that were unlocked with stretch goals. You can choose to add this into your game or not, up to you. The game board. Baggie of blood tests. Baggie of doggy tokens and infection tokens. You got your character mats over here with an alien side just in case. First player mat over here with the phases and the freeze track when your boiler breaks down. You got your first player token, freezing token, power token. These are the cards that came with the extra modules that were unlocked with the stretch goals over here. These are your damage tokens for your rooms. Fuel canisters. Little miniatures for the dogs, the helicopter, and your flamethrower ammo. Suspicion tokens. These dice are used for the 1 to 3 player mode. Weather dice. This one glows in the dark. This one was a stretch goal, I think. Your food, which is, I believe, spam. And this is interesting. The game comes with alien strength tokens, and it also comes with these fire tokens. But the stretch goals unlock these really nice plastic discs that could be used instead. These are much nicer. Contagion tokens for contagion checks. And your standees and your color-coded bases. Over here you get your roll cards, 2 for each player, weapon cards, item cards, location cards. And over here, this is for the 1 to 3 player. This is for your weather, and the rest are your action cards. Repair, sabotage, and use. So what is this game? Well, The Thing is a game based off of John Carpenter's 1982 film about a shape-shifting alien that slowly terrorizes and infects an American research base situated in Antarctica. Basically, you'll be taking on the roles of the characters from the movie, and you'll be trying to escape the base before all the humans die. The issue is one person secretly starts off as the alien and can even infect other players as the game goes on. So the game plays out semi-cooperatively with a constant feeling of mistrust and doubt amongst the players. In addition, the alien players can just straight up be revealed at some point in the game, and unlike other secret identity games like Werewolf or Secret Hitler, it doesn't really end there. In fact, it changes the dynamics of the game entirely and gives the revealed player new ways to torment the other players at the table. At the beginning of the game, players get to choose from a variety of characters, all from the actual cast for the film. Each character has their own unique talent, so to say, that makes them useful in different situations. For instance, McCready gets to look at 3 cards when he's taking an action in the armory instead of 2, and Windows is able to repair 2 damage counters from a location instead of 1. Other than the one ability, the characters play mostly the same as one another. So in order to figure out who the starting alien is, you'll be using the dog infection bag. You'll place tokens equal to the number of players, making sure that only 1 represents an alien token and the rest are dog tokens. Whoever draws the alien token is now secretly the starting alien. You'll take the roll card, human or alien, that corresponds to what you are, and each player also takes 3 contagion tokens. These tokens have 2 human and 1 alien backside, and they'll get used when players come into contact with one another in the game. So the actual game board is set up with multiple rooms of different color. Green rooms, like the kitchen, can only be visited by a maximum of 3 players. Blue rooms have no limit but exclude any exposed alien from making an appearance. Purple rooms are only accessible to dogs and exposed aliens, and the red rooms are kind of just there. They hold supplies and stuff. Each room has a specific action tied to it. So, for instance, the radio room can be utilized to send out an SOS and summon a helicopter that will start making its way to the base each turn depending on how bad the weather is. Whereas the laboratory over here will allow players to search for blood tests that may be utilized on the most suspicious player of the group during meetup phases. Now, several of the rooms can actually be damaged, such as the radio room, the shed, and the base helicopter. And damage is represented with these X tokens here, which can be quite the hindrance to players if they're allowed to stack up. The boiler room and the generator room in particular have some pretty nasty effects if players allow them to get destroyed. The generator will make the base lose power, which will make it so that players have to randomly choose their cards from their hands instead of looking at them first. Whereas the boiler, if this is allowed to break all the way, will trigger this freeze tile to come into play, where players will slowly freeze to death with each passing turn. Not a good thing for humans. So before getting into the phases of the game, it's important to note a few things. The suspicion tracker at the top shows how suspicious everybody is. Everyone starts the game on yellow. A location card is also used to show where the leader token goes. Whoever picks this up gets to be the leader. If nobody does, then the current leader stays. The pantry starts off with 16 food tokens, which will deplete at the end of each round. Less will be taken if somebody uses the kitchen action. The kennel is where the dogs get locked up if they're captured during gameplay. Damage counters start on the escape vehicles and the radio room so that they can't be triggered too close to the beginning of the game. Weapons and item decks are made specific to the player count and can be picked up from the armory and the warehouse. These are kept hidden until used, unless it's a flamethrower. That kind of needs to be revealed immediately. Fuel is also placed in the warehouse, so that even if you're using them to refill the generator and boiler rooms, they will eventually run out. The dog infection bag is filled with 2 alien tokens and 7 normal dog tokens in total. This bag is drawn from when a character is by themselves in a room with a dog, and the blood bag is filled with working and non-working test kits. These can be found in the laboratory and may be used to test for alien DNA in the players when they're all in the leisure room. So here's a working blood bag, and this black one is a non-working one. Moving on, in each round, there are 8 phases in total, starting with the first phase, weather conditions. Here, the weather dice is rolled by the leader. Depending on what it lands on, you'll lose a certain amount of fuel. And it may affect other things like the SOS helicopter movement or freezing to death. In Phase 2, there's base maintenance and rescue helicopter advancement. As I mentioned earlier, fuel is removed by the leader depending on the current weather conditions. So let's say the weather die landed on the snow side, the tracker here tells us to remove 2 fuel from the generator and the boiler room. Also, if an SOS helicopter was signaled, the leader would also move it closer to the base during this phase. In Phase 3, you'll get alien actions. This phase only exists if there's an exposed alien on the board, which means that somebody actually had to have revealed their identity card to the group. If this hasn't happened, players skip this step. We'll come back to this in a bit, as it changes the game up quite a bit. In Phase 4, players draw up to 3 action cards to their hands. In the case that the base is out of food, they'll go hungry and only draw up to 2. During this phase, players will take turns left of the leader and will do one of 2 things. Either place their character into a room and then give the leader a card of their choosing face down, or if they're unhappy with their hand, they can choose to place their character in the dormitory lying down and discard their hand, drawing another 3 cards of their choosing. This goes on until every single player has gone. By the way, there are only 3 action cards in the whole game. There's Use, which allows a player to do a room action their character is in. There's Repair, which allows their character to remove a damage counter, or Sabotage, which can add damage or remove items, food, or fuel. The group won't know who submitted which cards, so be as sneaky as you want. Now, here's where it gets interesting. After the leader gets everybody's action cards and shuffles them, they draw from the deck and then they apply the action card drawn to any player they want on the board, even if it wasn't put in by the player they chose. I mean, how would you even know, right? That means that a player who went to the radio room to repair it might be forced to sabotage it now if the card shows up and the leader demands it. After an action is carried out, the leader may choose to keep drawing or to stop. This gives a ton of power to whoever has the leader token and will incentivize players to claim it if they have certain agendas to fulfill. In Phase 5, all characters get picked up and meet back in the leisure room. Here, you can exchange weapons and items, that is, if you trust anybody enough to do so. This is also the part where you can yell at each other and make accusations. To end this phase, the leader will call for a vote of who thinks who is an alien. On the count of 3, players will either point their fingers at somebody or cross their arms. For each player that has a finger pointed at them, their suspicion disc over here is moved up by 1 space. If it lands on this red spot, depending on the player count, so this is 4, this is 6 over here, that player can no longer play their action cards during Phase 4 face down. They have to play them revealed so that everybody could see what they're putting into the deck. Nobody trusts them anymore, so no more hiding. Phase 6 is the testing phase. Anybody who was lucky enough to secure a blood test from the laboratory that works may use it now only on the most suspicious person. Remember, there's a lot of busted blood tests out there that don't work. Only these nice green ones over here can be used for this. Also, if somebody has a flamethrower and a wire, they may choose anybody to test for the cost of just 1 fuel. When either of these tests are done, the player reveals their roll card to the group. If they're an alien, scary things are about to happen. However, if they're human, they get to move their suspicion disc all the way back to the green area. And Phase 7 is food consumption, where the leader takes all the food from the kitchen and removes it from the game. If there is no food in the kitchen because nobody went to do that job, 4 food items are removed from the pantry. Remember, going hungry reduces hand sizes, but doesn't kill you. And last but not least, Phase 8. Dog movement and leader change. The leader draws from the location deck and places uncaptured dogs into each room card that is drawn. So for instance, here would be the laboratory and the armory. And to finally end the round, an additional room card is drawn so that the leader token is placed there. If the kennel card is ever drawn during this phase, any dogs captured in the kennel are going to break out, and you'll have to draw location cards for them as well. The rounds will go on until the winning or losing conditions are met. In order for the humans to win the game, they need to all escape the base with no aliens escaping with them. When boarding a vehicle to attempt this, it'll start with the least suspicious person, and they'll decide if the next person on the track is allowed to come or not. In order for the alien to win, it has to either assimilate the last human, have the humans freeze to death, or manage to escape the base. Now, before moving on to what I like about this game, there are a ton of neat things I've yet to mention that really spice up the game. First, if players end up in a room with another person, dog, or alien, they have to do an encounter. Encounters are resolved before any actions are taken in Phase 4. If a lone human is with a dog, they have to draw from the doggy bag and possibly become an alien. If 2 or more characters are in a room with a dog, they'll capture the dog and send it to the kennel. Whenever 2 characters meet up with one another, like this, they have to do something called a contagion check. Each player has to give 2 of their 3 contagion tokens for the other person to peek at. If they're human, they have to give 2 human tokens. No harm, no foul. However, if they're alien, they can choose to do that, or they can choose to give 1 alien and 1 human. It's a 50-50 shot if the person draws the alien or the human token in this case, but if they do take the alien one, they will become an alien and join their team. So besides capturing dogs, why would you ever want to meet up with somebody in this game of distrust? Well, many rooms give you an arm symbol where you'll get a cooperation bonus for each standing figure in the room with you. This means more repairs and more room uses. The game is going to make you really think about each decision you make. Now, as I stated earlier, the alien can become revealed at any point in the game, which adds Phase 3 and allows the revealed alien player to take over the location deck. They also get a stack of alien strength tokens equal to half the number of players rounded down, but they can get more by assimilating dogs and other players in their quest to win. On their new alien turn, they'll select a location card of their choosing that they want to go to, let's say the laboratory. They'll place it face down, and they'll place a certain number of strength tokens on it, however many they want. If they have more tokens, they can choose another location and do the same thing. The humans have no idea where the alien is going, as these cards are revealed after the humans get to move. If they're unlucky, they'll trigger an alien encounter. In an alien encounter, the game gives you this flowchart to look at. If the alien strength in your room is lower than the number of characters in it, the alien runs away. If the strength of the alien and the players are equal, the alien runs away, but all the players in the room also lose their action. And lastly, if the alien's power is higher, they can choose to either assimilate and essentially kill a player or a dog and add a strength token to their collective pool, or they may choose to sabotage the room that they're in. Now, if a character has things like dynamite or Molotov cocktails, they can give up their action and use these items to hurt and scare away the alien. Flamethrowers can also do this, as the aliens don't really like fire all that much. Each time the alien gets hurt, they lose a strength token. They lose all their strength token, and they can be killed. Firearms and melee weapons can also be utilized to avoid encounters but do not hurt the alien. And one final thing, if players so choose and they have a fire-based weapon, they're able to burn down rooms. That's right, if they so choose, they can burn down a room and make it inaccessible to both the aliens and the players. Now, this is an irreversible effect, so the players want to be really sure that they want to do this, but hey, it does help warm the base if you're freezing. So, what do I like about this game? I mean, to start off, the theme is wonderful. I'm a pretty big fan of the film, and I feel like this game really captures the essence of it and does a magnificent job of just, creating that atmosphere of tension and mistrust between the characters, just like in the film. You can even replicate things that happen from the movie. I mean, it's pretty nice that the game allows you to burn down the base room by room, just like they do in the film. And on top of that, I really like the fact that if a character is in a room by themselves with a dog, you don't know if the dog is infected, and you don't know if that character is now infected, and it just makes you mistrust everyone even more, and it makes you want to be careful. And being able to meet up in the leisure room and try to test each other with blood tests and flamethrowers and heated wires, it all just comes together to really make you feel like you're in the movie. And on top of the theme, you also have this game that does this unique mixture of different other types of games. I mean, it feels a little bit like Werewolf and Secret Hitler mixed with worker placement, and also incorporates voting like you would see from Among Us. So you were in that room with the dog before, huh? By yourself? Pretty sus. And I gotta say, out of all the hidden agenda, hidden objective, hidden role games I've played, this game in particular does it the best in terms of making me not trust anyone around me. I mean, becoming an alien is there's so many ways to do it, and it's so easy that you don't trust anyone. I mean, just by going into a room with a dog, you have a 2 out of 9 chance of becoming an alien, and not even the original alien would know if you got infected. If you do end up in a room with another player and they're an alien, and they decide to give you one human and one alien token, you have a 50-50 shot now of becoming an alien. It's quite possible that everybody around you is an alien. So props to this game for being able to make an atmosphere where you don't want to work with anybody, even though you're freezing to death. Hey, yeah, you guys can go over there in the weather room by yourselves. I'll be over here in the laboratory getting as many test kits as humanly possible. And I also really like how this game implements the role of the leader. I think it's really interesting that they have so much power. I mean, you can have this great plan and everybody's going to put in their action cards, but at the end of the day, the leader is the one who gets to assign who does what role. It gives them a ton of power and it makes the atmosphere of distrust even greater when the leader gives some horrible assignment to a person that really doesn't help the team and they blame it on the cards or they blame it on whatever strange reasoning they have. It's even better that this token doesn't just get passed around the table, it goes to a random room. It might be a room that nobody even wants to go to, but if you want this person who you clearly suspect to be an alien out of power, you're going to have to bite the bullet and go there. So I think that's done really well and has a really nice aspect to the game. Alright, so as the leader, I drew a sabotage card, and I think it's best if we sabotage the boiler room and lose the fuel. I'm not really seeing any other options. It's not my fault, guys. It's the cards. It forced my hand. I'm definitely not an alien. I also like the fact that the base is going to be falling apart as the game goes on. I mean, there's too many things going on. Dogs are going to be running around the base, and the boiler and the generator is going to be losing fuel every single turn, especially if you get bad rolls and you're rolling snowstorms every single turn. The base is going to fall apart. I mean, eventually, you're gonna have to start lighting rooms on fire just to stay warm, and you're gonna have to start making trade-offs. Do we need the generator online so we can see what we're doing with our hand, or should we, go to the kitchen and get food because when we're starving, it just makes the game so much more difficult. There are so many choices you got to make in this game just to keep the base up and running that even though you don't trust the people around you, at some point you might get so desperate that you will just try to work with them. Look, I'll go to the radio room and I'll help you guys call for that chopper, but you're sure you're not aliens, right? Oh, and also the asymmetric abilities between the characters is also kind of neat. In games like these, usually I feel everybody's just kind of the same, but it's nice that they at least gave one ability that separates one character from the other. Also makes it so that if you play to each character's strength, you might have a better chance of keeping the space stable before everything burns down. I also appreciate the fact that there are different ways to win for the alien. I mean, they can either have the humans freeze to death and try to get the base to lose all its fuel, or they can try to assimilate every single last human. Or if it's just not working, they can just take their chances and try to fool everybody the entire game and try to escape with them on one of these escape vehicles. Having different options, it's nice because you never know what's going to happen throughout the timeline of one of these games. What is up, my fellow human beings? I am totally not an alien. Please let me aboard this steel aircraft of yours so we may get away from the monsters. And I also like that each game that you play, it's kind of tell a different story. And what I mean is there's going to be a different chain of events that leads to your ending. I mean, in one scenario, everybody might end up being an alien. And secretly too, if people just got unlucky with drawing from the doggy bag, or if the alien just goes around and starts infecting people with their contagion tokens, you never know. In another scenario, all the humans might end up getting a ton of weapons. And let's say they reveal the alien and they just keep fighting him off, and at the end of the day they kill him and escape the base. There is a variety of ways that this can go down, and it's one of those games where when you finish it, you're going to want like 10, 15 minutes to kind of just sit there and debrief and to talk about it and just, try to see what happened from the beginning to the end. Hello, Team Alien. And lastly, I am very appreciative that the game designers decided to implement a solo mode, actually a 1 to 3 player mode for this game. It does change the game quite a bit. I mean, you're using dice and there's no more, deduction as to who's who, but I like that because it's hard to get a large group of people together, and it's not always going to be 6 or 7 players available at all times. So it's nice that you can play this game at smaller player counts if you need to. Is it as good? Definitely not, but I mean the option is there for you, and I appreciate that. All right. So what are some things that people might not like about this game? Well, to start, there is the rulebook. I understand that this is, a fresh new game, and I'm sure a ton of FAQs will be posted, and the creators will probably come out and clarify a few things online. But I mean, it's still a headache, especially when you got alien players that aren't even allowed to ask for clarifications about their rules because they don't want to reveal their identity. This game does not have the clearest rules in it. In fact, the first game that me and my friends played of this took about half a day just because we had to keep going back to the rule book and we had to keep going on Board Game Geek and checking for clarifications and seeing what other people are doing in certain situations. It's not done very clearly. There are, different rules depending on the language translations. There are missing things, there are oversights, and there are just, I mean, frankly, a lot of things that are probably going to confuse you for your first couple playthroughs of this game. And make no mistake, it's a pretty long game, so some people in your group might not want to sit through all that. Wait, hold up. Am I allowed to talk about like what's in my head? Can I bluff and lie about it, or am I just not allowed to talk about what's in my hand at all? Right, so you're telling me that I gotta either discard this blood bag or keep it for later use. But I mean, if it's a black blood bag, can I just pretend like it's a good blood bag and keep it and try to fool everybody, or do I need to discard it? So I just burned down the kitchen. Now, what do I do with this dog? Is it dead now? Did I just burn it like to death, or does it does it run away, or you, what do you want me to do? Now I want to hurt the alien with a flamethrower and make it run away, but you're saying before it runs away, you're gonna throw dynamite at it, and you're telling me you're gonna throw a Molotov at it. So I mean, are we allowed to hit it with all three things before it runs away? End of the first round. What do you mean end of the first round? Whoa, 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 wait. Now you're telling me that the leader decides if I'm allowed to burn this room? I'll burn whatever room I want. Alright, so I want to avoid this encounter with the dog. I'm going to use my melee. What? What do you mean? What do you mean that doesn't work? What do you mean I'm not allowed? Alright, I'm not sure, but I think we figured out that these reserve barrels go here. Alright, so let's pretend like the rules were written really well. This game still has an issue, a learning curve issue, an accessibility issue, because there's so many different things that can happen through the course of the game, in which case, if this is your first playthrough, you're probably going to keep pausing, and it's going to just kind of ruin the flow of the game. So, for instance, I mean, the first time the generator gets broken, you have to read up on the rules for no power. The first time that the boiler gets broken, you have to read up on the rules for freezing. The first time the SOS signal gets sent out, you gotta read up on the rules on how the helicopter moves towards the base. Once somebody starts setting fire to the rooms in the base, you're gonna have to kind of learn the rules of that as well. And then the biggest doozy that my group ran into was when the alien first gets revealed, you have to figure out how the revealed alien works, how to add in that extra step in the rounds, and it really just takes time to learn everything. You're not going to have a smooth first playthrough, most likely. And I mean, yeah, every single game takes time to learn and master, so it's not a big deal breaker for most, but some people are not going to have the patience for that. And also, these alien figures or standees, whichever one you decide to use, I don't see a large part of them. I really tried to implement them into the game. I feel like the designers said that you can assign levels to them. So this could be like a level 3 power, this could be like a level 4 power, and treat them that way. But I just found it easier to use these tokens. I mean, it doesn't look as thematic, it's not as nice, it's just more convenient. So I wish that there was a bigger reason to incorporate these miniatures or standees in the game because they do look pretty cool. Alright, so I want to put a level 2 power in the cafeteria and a level 2 oh, I guess that doesn't work because this is a different level. Maybe I'll just put this here. Well then, I might as well just put this here. So why am I even okay? I've also noticed a lot of people when they play this game get a little bit fatigued and get a little bit tired and annoyed of all the constant contagion checks and all the constant, even if your identity doesn't change, you have to pretend to look at both your cards and then put one underneath your player mat. Everybody starts the game, really, really trying to hide their identity and really try to, play the part. But then I sometimes see near the end of the game people just kind of go through the motions and they, check the contagion markers and they, move their identity markers back onto their mats so quickly that it kind of gives away if they're human or alien. And speaking of these contagion checks, this game has the potential to sometimes feel really unbalanced depending on the team that you're on. And it's just because of maybe some bad luck draws from the doggy bag or, some bad encounters with a few people or other things like that. I mean, like, there are situations where, let's say, the alien picks up the flamethrower, the only flamethrower. And then it makes it really difficult for the humans to win. Or let's say vice versa, the humans all load up on guns or they trade and they all have weapons, and now the alien can't touch them. Even if they were revealed, they can avoid encounters, they can damage the alien, and it makes it really hard for the alien to win. Or let's say the humans get really lucky and they keep rolling sunny weather and the SOS helicopter comes real quick and they don't have to hold out that long. Or let's say the opposite. You roll the dice and you just keep getting snowstorms every single time. The base is going to fall apart really fast and it's going to be difficult to maintain. Or in other cases, we've had games where we've had so many unlucky draws and whatnot that by the end of the game, everybody was an alien. Every single, all 7 people were aliens, which I found hilarious. But, some people at the table, not so much. All right, cool. So you're green and proven to be human, and, oh, you got a shotgun, so you can avoid encounters too. So I guess you got nothing to worry about. Also, I know that I said that the asynchronous character abilities are pretty neat, but at the same time, it could make it so that one person is constantly doing the same thing because they're best suited for it. So, for instance, with this character, they are really, really good in the kitchen because they make it so that you only lose one food instead of two, whereas this guy makes it so that he gets an additional lab token when drawing from the laboratory. This one is really good at the weather station. It makes it so that sometimes people will feel like they have to keep just doing the same thing again and again, which, might not be the most fun. Let me guess. You want me to go to the kitchen again? And another thing that people might not like about this game is that the alien it's one being, it's one hive mind. So the first time somebody gets revealed as an alien, they get their strength tokens, they take the location deck, and they do their thing. But the next time somebody gets revealed, yeah, the alien gets another strength token, but then those revealed alien players, they just work together collectively. They don't get their own character anymore. They just make joint decisions and they lose their individuality. Thematically, it makes sense, but it's not the most fun for some people. Some people don't like that kind of thing. They want their own character. Oh, and if you're unlucky enough to get assimilated by the alien, you're just kind of dead. You're out of the game. You're gone. They get a strength token, and you're out. You're done. You just gotta hope that the humans win. You can't even help the aliens make decisions because technically, according to the book, you're still on the human side. Then, in addition to all that gameplay stuff, this game also kind of plays the best at higher player counts. It's a social deduction game, hidden identity. Most of these types of game require a lot of players. Sure, there's a 1 to 3 player mode, but if I'm being frank with you, it's just not as good. It's not how I feel like this game was intended to be played. So if you don't have a big group that you can get this game to the table with, this might not be worth it to some people. That atmosphere of mistrust and not being able to get along with anybody, it's not really there in the 1 to 3 player modes. That component is missing from the game. And also, there's the price of this game. I mean, I paid about $80 for just the core, the base pledge, and I understand that it comes with stretch goals and miniatures and whatnot. I'm not sure how much the retail edition is going to cost, but a lot of people might not think that the components that are coming with this game are justifying the cost of this game. There's no standout art. The miniatures are not, amazing or breathtaking or anything. It's fine components, but the value might not be there for everybody. And lastly, some people might not like the idea of the thing and the body horror that comes with it. I mean, this game doesn't really showcase that much, but if you can't get that out of your mind, you might not be able to play this game. And so overall, after slogging through the hurdle that is the rulebook, I had fun with the thing. Honestly, I backed this on Kickstarter without looking at a single thing about how the game actually plays. All I knew was that it was a hit and roll game and that I loved the film. Even the 2011 one that was not so well received. The fact that there's an alien that's hiding among the humans just sounds so freakishly cool to me. Now, my group and I had a really difficult time getting into the game and learning the mechanics. Our first game took so long just because we had to keep stopping to clarify things. Sometimes we'd find it in the rulebook, other times we'd find it on a BGG post, and then sometimes we'd just make something up. The game really only gets good after multiple playthroughs, which is fine if you have the patience for it. I mean, the rules definitely make the game a bit clunky, but even so, if you give it a chance, this game really does have the ability to give some awesome experiences and a unique story to tell. But oftentimes, I can also see games where there's just so much bad luck and bad rolls or draws that it ends up leaving a chunk of people at the table kind of salty. Sometimes alien infections do kind of get out of hand, but also at the same time, sometimes humans get so well equipped and synchronized that they completely stomp the alien. But you know what? Hey, that's the nature of this game, and I think it's fair to say that this game really won't be for everyone. I recommend this game to people who are fans of the movie, the original or the prequel. If you like games with hidden roles like Werewolf, and you're also cool with mechanics like worker placement, and you like the idea of people changing sides mid-game, then you'll enjoy this game. Grab it if you love the tension of not being able to trust anybody and don't mind waiting a few hours to see how each player's role unravels. I don't recommend this game if you don't like hidden roles and get really salty when you get backstabbed or when something unfair and luck based happens to you. If you want a nice, balanced game that doesn't rely heavily on theme and random chance to build tension and thrills, then maybe you should stay away from this. Also, the game definitely plays best with a lot of people, and the solo mode, while nice, isn't going to deliver the same package, so if you find it hard to get a group together, maybe give this a pass. I give this game a bronze shell.
Hey, Bunny's here! Boy, oh boy, the thing was such a tough game. Not that it was too difficult to play, but I had a lot of problems with the rules and how long the game drags along sometimes. And after taking a long time to learn this game, I still wasn't a big fan of how most of the game ended. And the leader never lets me do anything anyways. I'm sure that there are lots of people out there like this sort of games, but bunnies might want to stay away. I give this game a sorry, not for me carrot.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us today. If there's anything that you'd like to add, comment in the section below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We'll see you next time.